I think that's enough jazz for now, don't you, Janie?
That was great.
All right. It is 10 a.m. and you're listening to WZNC LP Bethlehem, North Country Community Radio, 99.9 FM, streaming online at nococommunityradio.org. My name is Amanda McKeen, and you're listening to my show called North of Normal. And today I have Janie Arquitt here with me as my special guest. Welcome, Janie.
Hello.
Hello. Actually, I was a little bit confused about your last name. I've seen in some places that your last name is Pants.
True.
Is it Janie Pants or Janie Arquitt?
It's Janie Arquitt, legally.
Yeah. Okay.
But Pants to people who know me personally. Close relations can call me Pants.
Well, I'm so glad you're here. And before we dive in to your story, I just wanted to welcome all of our new listeners that are tuning in today and any listeners who have tuned in before that want to come back for more. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to hear our quirky little show. And I just want to remind everyone why we're here. It's because the North Country of New Hampshire is a very special place with some incredible people, and they don't really get much visibility up here. And so part of strengthening our community and celebrating the people that live here is providing a platform like this so that we can get to know them better. So that's why I created this. We started in June. This is episode, I think it's either number 6 or 7. So
whoop, whoop.
We're well on our way. We have Janie here with us today, and we have some incredible guests scheduled for the future. So Janie has been on radio before, right?
Yes.
When was the last time you were here?
I was here in early May of 2025.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what did you talk about then? Because I don't want to talk about the same thing.
We don't have to talk about that at all.
Okay.
It was about Mother's Day, and that's past.
Yeah.
It was what spring tulip events we had
gotcha.
for Pantry Posies, and we're well past that now, so we can live in the moment.
So let's talk real quick for those that don't know who you are. You just mentioned Pantry Posies, and I failed to introduce you in relation to your business. So let's quickly talk about that.
That's okay.
Yeah.
We're more than what we do, right? So,
it is true.
Pantry Posies is a small flower cultivating and distributing micro farm in Easton, and we grow and provide flowers to participating food access resources in the North Country. So food pantries, community dinners, the senior center, and then we sell out to the general public as our way of being equitable and sustainable. And
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you actually give flowers to the pantries?
Yes, we do complimentary flowers to the food access resource participants, and we're able to do that because of the sales, So flowers, they do have quite a markup to them, and those who can afford them are usually pretty glad to support us in that way and have beauty for their tables and their homes and gifting to loved ones or having large or small, intimate, special occasion events.
Yeah.
And then in turn, we're able to grow sunflowers to give out to these different resources.
Awesome. And I can't wait to see all your sunflowers. I haven't
we
seen
can't
them
either. It's been a really wild season, so we're very much so anticipating them.
Sweet.
Slowly but surely, they're coming.
Yep. Can we talk about how you and I met?
Yes.
Because that's kind of quirky.
Yeah, it is.
Do you want to tell your side of the story? Do you remember?
I'm trying to. I think
kind of all blended.
I know there was a element of social media and me confusing you with someone else.
Oh, yes.
Remember? And I was like so enthusiastic to meet you because I thought you were someone else. And then it just made it even better that now that it actually is someone else. So there's two really cool people that look similar roaming around here. How we met, though, I thought it was through social media, and we went out for a coffee.
It was through social, and it was because I had launched the White Mountains directory.
Yes, that's what it was.
And I think you saw it and you thanked me.
I did. That's what, yes.
You sent me this amazing thank you message.
Look
I
at
had
me,
no idea
led by
who you
gratitude.
were. Yes. You led by gratitude. And so you sent me this beautiful message on Instagram. And I was like, I don't know who this lady is, but she seems pretty amazing. And so I started following you. And, you know, you kept liking my posts and stuff. And finally, I think one of us messaged and said, hey, we should get a coffee sometime.
Yeah, real life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we met at Crumb Bum.
Yes, that sounds typical.
And it was like the whole morning.
Again, yeah, and lovely. It was lovely.
It was lovely.
Yes.
So that's how we met. And, you know, one thing that really drew me in was the fact that you were leading with some very clear values that I hold dear to my life as well. And gratitude being one of them. But there were just so many things in the way that you were talking about your flowers and your business that it wasn't typical. It wasn't like, buy my flowers, you know? It was a little bit different.
Sure.
Yeah. So can we talk a little bit about the different approach that you take and why you take it?
Sure. So at first, when we started Pantry Posies, it didn't have a name, you know, and it was a passion project of just sharing joy with the pantry down the street. And then I started thinking, you know, this is taking kind of over a lot in my personal life and existence, and it's a lot of work to cultivate.
Yeah.
And then to build the community connections to getting those flowers out into the hands of folks that want them and need them, and or don't even know they need them, I guess. And I knew I didn't want to take like a capitalistic approach. I knew I didn't want to be like a business or seen as a business. I was already going through pantries that were in church basements, and a lot of folks were referring to this as a ministry.
Okay.
You know, your ministry to the community. And so I'm a full picture gal. I like to look at the bigger picture. So I started looking into what ministry means and what the function of ministry is, and why a demographic would label this provision as a, you know, and then so I started thinking more about, well, if you're to run something, you know, and then it has to have systems. And I come from a background in mental health care, working in science and behaviors and healing. And so again, big picture pieces. And so how to bring that all together. And then, you know, it led me to, well, if we're going to move with this, it has to be full of heart and care, and not just commerce. And of course, we need that side to be sustainable. You know, there is commerce involved in the work we do and the exchange, but I wanted it to be more than just that, more than just a basic exchange of goods, and more of kind of a provision to building community.
Yeah.
And so the flowers bridge the access. And then the access to the flowers is what brings the cultivation of joy and connection. And so those full circle pieces I felt to move forward and to create any kind of impact had to be backed with some sense of value or moral. Or, you know, if it was a nonprofit, it would be the mission vision.
Yeah.
You know, so how do I create something in this sort of like anarchist way of like, I want to be against the systems, but no, I need systems.
Yeah.
I'm trying to, you know, dismantle so much within my own self and my clinical past, from clinical care to a community care centered thing. And so I thought about community and who I am, and my undergrad degree. And I went to a little liberal arts college in the Monadnock region of New Hampshire, and the curriculum there was I&C, the individual in community. Shout out to FPC, because I still remember that from early 2000. And that's ingrained in me. It's like, you're an individual as a part of a community. How and where do you fit in with that? And now, us being transplants to the North Country, how do I build community? How do I foster community, cultivate community? And so I came back to those values of, having access to the joy, being equitable about how we distributed it, and always remembering that the community piece is the core of it.
So beautiful.
Put that on a bumper sticker.
Yeah. So that just opened up so many questions for me about your background, because you kind of gave us a little bit of a hint in a couple places. Yeah. So can we talk about where you come from and how you ended up here?
Yeah, it was kind of like wild happenstances. So because of my personality and loving to dive into things and seeing big picture and sort of that obsession with systems, I've gone through different kind of sort of evolution through my adult life. I just got out of my undergrad school at FPC, and I wanted to be a children's storybook writer, an author.
Wow.
I was a writing major. I love writing. I love poetry. And I love people, and I wanted to, and it was always sort of a values care-centered type of work I wanted to be in. And so I figured, if I'm going to do that, I should work with kids, right? So I started working in a public school integrated preschool, and I worked in a classroom that was primarily kids on the autism spectrum. This was the early 2000s.
In preschool?
Preschool.
Wow.
So it's life skills.
Yeah.
With some kids of varying abilities and needs, and I fell in love with it, and I stayed there for a long time, and kind of knew how I could or couldn't move up in a career in that, and got fascinated sort of with the behavioral side of things. So I went back to school and studied behaviors, and that led me even to things like pathology and going deep into things, and psych. And I found myself really sort of focusing on nutrition and psych and development. And so that led me to working in eating disorder care. And I worked in clinical eating disorder care, which sort of followed suit with the life skills with the kiddos, because we were doing feeding and sensory integration and exposure therapy and feeding charts. And that was before ARFID and all these other diagnoses have since come out, So I moved into eating disorder care, did that for a long time. That's hard work. Crisis intervention alongside that with my interning.
Did you have a certain age bracket that you've frequently worked with?
So when I first, I went to the kids first, right? Because I was trying to foster for writing. And then as I learned about behaviors, it went into adolescence more with the eating disorder stuff. So, and the facility I worked at specialized in they had an adolescent program and an adult program. So I did both.
You did.
And it was, cognitive behavioral therapy, dialectical behavioral therapy. And I learned a lot about the human condition. I learned a lot about how hard life could be for some people. I learned about how easy it seemed for us to cultivate and inflict pain on each other, And so from there, I went to studying more about psychology, and I went on to writing a dissertation, and then life got wild for me and my husband, and some big life happenings happened that reminded us that life was short, and I walked from it, and I said, we want something simpler. We want out of the concrete jungle of outside Boston and beauty, and we want access to that. We need that. We feel like we need that. And I've always been a florist. It was my first job as a young kid back home, and I've always dreamed of a way of bringing all of that together in a care-centered way. How to acknowledge how hard things can be, and how crappy we can be to each other, and also how beauty exists at the same time, and we deserve access to that. So that sort of all led me
full circle
to the North Country, where there's a yard and space, and views and rivers, and it's a little bit more normalized to cultivate. I mean, we first moved up here, I had dreams of being a Christmas tree farmer.
You did?
Yeah. And we realized when we moved here how many Christmas tree farms there are. And it came down to me realizing I didn't really want to tree farm. I wanted to grow trees for my family. I'm one of 6 kids, so there's many nieces and nephews. And so I was like, we can have a farm just for our family, So we do have those in the side yard.
Okay.
When we moved here, there's nothing really on our property, and we've kind of cultivated the land and turned it into what it is now.
How did you even choose the direction of the North Country? What happened?
Yeah, that was kind of, well, we were outside Boston. I grew up in a suburb outside Boston, and then when Jay and I, we were residing outside the city, for easy access and to work and stuff, and we got to that age where we were the youngest of our friends group, right? And so everyone was marrying and having kids and buying houses, and some of our friends were realtors, and so it got to that point in your life where you're like, oh well, I guess we're renting. Let's look into like some permanence in some way, and so you go through that whole house thing, and it's stressful, and we just kept going up and up. like outside the city, and then northern Massachusetts. So I don't want to be away from my family. Let's go like somewhere pretty.
Yeah.
Pretty where they can come and visit. And Jay is a hiker. He loves hiking.
Okay.
It's sort of his thing. And so to be somewhere where he can access that. I had never driven north of the Notch in my life. And when we came up to go house hunting, I was like, captivated immediately coming through the Lakes region up, because I went to FPC, right? So Monadnock region, we had Mount Monadnock, right?
Yeah.
But we didn't have like the presidentials,
right?
We didn't have the Kinsman Ridge, and that's in my backyard. The Kinsman, North and South End Canyon, right there in my backyard,
right?
So we house hunted. It was a pretty quick, I can't imagine ever having what I have. Like as a little kid, I think if I knew then what's now, I wouldn't believe it. I was a hustle bustle. I always thought I'd be a city kid.
Yeah.
Or I thought I would move to California so I could be in a city, in a beautiful place that was warm. But I do love the snow, and I've embraced it a lot. I love winter. I love being cold. I love it here. Yeah. The access to the beauty, and the first time house hunting, I felt like, oh, this is like an excitement that is new, and it's scary to be this far from my family, because I'm the big sister, 6 of us, and big Irish Catholic family outside Boston, and grandparents who are aging and who have since passed, and elderly parents aging, and one has passed. It's like, all those things, like, do I want to move that far away? What's that going to be like? Mm-hmm. But you learn so much about yourself in moving away, and what your role is or isn't, and how it changes and ebbs, and how to embrace yourself when all you have is you. Yeah. You have no other choice, so.
Yeah, you have to kind of create your own identity that's not associated with the place.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was new for me. And I fell back into old things. Like when we moved up here, I didn't want to work in mental health anymore. That's why I left Boston. That's why I left my degrees. I just left it all. I was like, let's just live. Let's live. I'm doing, but I'm not living. We're doing, but we're in. I'm doing a lot of should, Yeah. That's icky. And it was with privilege that led us, we both worked, and my husband's very intelligent, and, I feel like dreams came true when we, offer was accepted. It was sort of like a holy crap. We're homeowners now. And we're homeowners far away from everyone we know. Yeah. And we're not that handy. We weren't handy. And now we've learned, you learn so much when you have to.
Yeah.
So that's sort of how we landed here.
Wow. And that was how many years ago?
That was 9 years ago.
9.
Mm-hmm. Okay. 2016.
Wow.
It's crazy.
And you're still here.
Still here. Still loving it.
So how long after you moved here did you come up with this idea for flowers?
So it was a while, because I was supposed to be shedding my old life, right? So I was like, we're not supposed to be working in mental health, but I did. I worked for an advocacy firm, and then I wasn't supposed to be doing flowers, but I'd find myself heading back to hometown flower shop every now and again, holidays, and then, dabbling in the local flower scene, and, so it's just like, I couldn't shake these certain things, and I said, why am I fighting it so much? And I during COVID, I wanted to return to a care-centered work, not just clinical work. I wanted to truly connect and on a human level with people, not to be this like stark clinician that's, they tell you, decompartmentalize. And I mean, things have even shifted since I've left the field, of course, but the rigidity and the lack of true connection, and so I worked for a great nonprofit out of Lancaster during the pandemic and met farmers and moved excess vegetables around to food pantries. And so that's sort of how I got into the pantries. And then I was like, people like, because of my past history as a clinician, I guess, I have that Sims bubble above my head, and so I would hear stories. I would hear, lamenting about the hardships of COVID or things that pre-existed, systematic failures that impacted the population up here. And, my husband is a firefighter, so he's seeing things, from that regard. So we're just learning so much about our community. And I'm like, flowers. One day I was just like, seriously, in my yard, growing my first ever garden ever, like zinnias. And I was like, wah! And it brought me joy. I was like, yes, look at what I'm growing. Like a friend of mine gave me some seeds. I threw them in the ground. It produced stuff. I felt so much joy.
Yeah.
And so I thought, how can I spread? And even like there are institutions that have studied the benefits of being in the presence of fresh flowers. And it's like, so how? I'm hearing so much about the hardships. I'm seeing the hardships. I'm seeing the disparities. I'm seeing the lack of equity and lack of inclusion in things. And I was like, flowers are such a great way to, like, you can show up somewhere with a bucket.
Yeah.
And you're like, look at all these pretty things. Let's have a really hard conversation about being more equitable. And of course, some people are like, give me the flowers, and like, they don't want to talk about that. But like, it's the flowers are bridge connection. Yeah. And so that's kind of how that all came into it. And then it was a hobby. Yeah. As some would say, my ministry. Yeah. And then I just felt called to it. It's been a part of me since I was a kid. I love doing it. I've worked for other florists. I still freelance up here for other events and things like that, and have friendships and camaraderie in the floral world up here. And so I just said, why run from it? Do what brings you joy. If you have access to that, that is a privilege. And if you can access that and you can do something with it, that's what I needed to do.
Oh, man.
I didn't want to half-butt other things that I felt like I should be doing. That was like sucking me down. Yeah. I was like, how can I... This joy I feel in the presence of flowers. Like, I had a lot of hard stuff growing up, coming to age things, working in a flower shop. Maybe that is what kept me going, being around flowers, being around the joy. So I was like, yeah. These folks that are struggling right now, food access, had a little bit of joy, a little bit of access, get that dignity. You deserve it. At first it was a slow roll too. Yeah. I don't want to take that. I don't want to take that. Now it's like, all right, it's a swarm. Yeah. There's never enough flowers. So it's keeping itself going just because there's never enough joy to be shared.
I love that. I think we've kind of uncovered your real passion here. Yeah. Because you're just lighting up right now as you're talking about it. It's pretty magical.
It is magical. Yeah. It's like I'm like a fiend for the joy. Yeah. But we recognize the hard stuff too. Like, that's the dialectics of life, is acknowledging how mucky stuff is. And I've cried in church parking lots with folks telling me, school's let out and SNAP funding has shifted and there's no free this. And, and all the while the world's spinning all around them with words and phrases and stigma and things. And everyone just wants to live. Yeah. And food is a basic, we need it. We need it. And in a perfect liberated world, we'd all have the Liberty Garden. We'd all have, we'd all have that. We'd all be full and happy and, in all the ways, So I figured this is a great way of combining the eating disorder care with like the access to food, the access to beauty, the full, that full thing that I crave, the nourishment. You're nourishing more than just the belly and the bloodline. It's connection. It's showing someone they're worthy of it. It's eliciting. I hear so many stories of whose grandmother or grandfather, great auntie grew this, or one time my ex-boyfriend, a horrible man, but did he give me these beautiful things every week? And there's always a story. Yeah. And it brings connection. So even if it's a hard story or something that brings that emotion, there's a connection. And I always remember what people's favorite flower is. I might not remember your name. I might remember your dog's name. And if you name your dog your favorite flower, that's a double for me. Yeah, it's just a great way to build connection. And so that's where we kind of ran with it.
I love that. And as you're talking and explaining the connection with flowers, I'm recognizing that I have my own connection from when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. I would go next door to my great aunt's house, and she taught me how to flower garden. And she would have me, she was in a wheelchair at the time and couldn't really do much, so she would just accompany me around the grounds of her place and tell me what to put where, and she would educate me on what was what. She would, point out all of the weeds that I needed to pull and the bugs that we needed to get rid of. But I always was inspired by the physical act of planting something and then watching it actually grow and knowing that I did that, that I put that there. Yeah,
that's a lot of folks have a similar feeling. Yeah. I feel like mine is very different. Again, more whole picture.
Yeah.
Is because in any moment, the wind, a bug could take that away. So for me, I think through the practice of cultivation, I've grown a deeper appreciation for everything outside me that brings that to be.
Yeah.
Because I may have put the dirt in that box and I may hold the hose, but that it's Mother Earth who's providing that sunshine, that the vitamins, the nourishment that's so outside of me. And for someone who worked in clinical care and felt so like type A, big sister, I want to fix the world. I want to be that. I want to be Candace Cameron in the Hallmark movie that goes to small town New Hampshire and just save that. I was when I moved here, I was that person. And I learned fast.
Yeah,
because the North Country will teach you. They will humble you just like a plant will, and they'll say everything exists outside of you, and it's true. That's what I have learned living here. Is there's so much more than just yourself. And it goes back to that individual and community piece of my undergrad and me wanting to learn the big picture. And I've thrown the idea of purpose away. I don't think we live in purpose. I think things move moment to moment. And if we can harness in the moment and just be, that's enough. And oh my God, I know family members listening to this. Like, who is this woman saying this? Because 10 years ago, you would have diagnosed that with something, and now I've learned and again, gratitude forward is what's led me there to be able to accept that and know that that's the start of it though. That's how it started for me, is like that internal satiation of seeing my efforts becoming something.
Yeah.
And then I realized you can pour all efforts into something and it can be poof.
Gone.
Poof. And you exist more than that.
Yeah.
More than what you've put into that. More than what that became. And it's all those outside factors that led to that becoming something that's like, dang, and that's something too we bring throughout our work in Pantry Posies, is seeing if we're in a hardship, it's all we see, right?
Yeah,
it's all we see. It's dark. And even just having, and I know flowers don't fix everything. I know they're not going to take away famine, and they're not going to increase food production, and they're not going to change systems, but you can be in that dark, hard spot, and then you see that beauty, and it reminds your brain, oh my gosh, something else exists outside of this. Somehow, you see the dandelion growing in the sidewalk crack, paved paradise, put up pergola, that kind of stuff. Like the silver lining. It's not seeing the silver lining, it's seeing the and.
Yeah.
And that's, I try to live that in what I do.
Beautiful. It reminds me, actually, the day that we met in person, you had an incident in your garden that was unexpected.
That was crazy.
Yeah. So we're talking about planting something and watching it grow, but there's all these outside factors that you don't have control over.
Yep. You can only plan so much. You never know when a moose is going to fall into your garden when you're having coffee with a new friend for the first time at Crumbar. You never know when that text is going to come through from your husband who by all graces whispered it out. Okay, husband, Pied Piper, thank you. And there was minimal damage. A lot of aeration done.
Yeah.
A lot of fertilizing.
Yeah. It knocked over part of a fence, right?
Yeah, and it got stuck in there. This poor baby.
But your husband made sure it got out.
Oh, he did, yeah.
Nice.
Hero of the day.
Amazing.
Yeah. Wild. Yeah, you never know what's going to happen.
You don't.
You can plan. But the dates when the beetles are going to start swarming, when it's not going to rain for 19 days in a row, but you can't control when your well's going to dry out.
Yeah.
Or when it's going to rain too much and wash away.
Yeah.
It's very humbling in that. And the first couple times, like last year we had a big storm and it cut things in half. It whipped right through. We have a wind in Easton called the Bungay jar, and it jarred, and it went right through the middle of my big patch, and we had to cancel. And I was so upset. I was like, I am the biggest disappointment in life ever, because it was an event for the senior center, and I was like, of all people to disappoint, what if this sends someone over the edge? My God, I was just so upset. But the ability to understand and have empathy. Yeah. I was met with that. I was met with grace from these elders who said, we've been through so much. Yeah. And then we end up having sunflowers from at the end anyway. But so the disappointment can mount. But it humbles you a lot. I'm sure it does. Yeah. Because it's not about the amount of effort that you put in at that point. No. It just doesn't even matter. No. Sometimes I think that, that wasn't a good pop-up. What am I doing? But you'll get the next one. You have folks that have favorite flowers that always will come for, like, if it's peony time, the three ladies that live in your neighborhood who want those, or, you learn, and the people will still come through. Yeah. Janie, it's been half an hour and we haven't listened to any music. I'm a chatterbox. There's a Boston accent coming out right there too. Did you used to have a Boston accent? Wicked. I was also a theater kid. Okay. And so lots of coaching. Yeah. Lots of time in that black box down at FTC, to get rid of opening my jaw up and saying the R's, not putting extra R's on the end of other things. See, it comes out. Especially when I'm angry. Oh, no. Well, hopefully we don't experience that on our show today. No. Joy. We're going to listen to one of the songs on your playlist. It's by Dashboard Confessional. Great. Bring on the emo. Yeah, Janie is a total emo. So we've got quite a collection of songs today. But this one's good. I actually used to have this on my playlist when I was younger. It's called Heartbeat Here. Great. Do you like that one? Love them all. Okay. We're going to be right back, guys. Thanks for listening. You're listening to WZNC LP Bethlehem, North Country Community Radio 99.9 FM, streaming online at nococommunityradio.org. This is Amanda McKeen. You're listening to North of Normal, and I have Janie Arquitt here with us today. We have had a fantastic first half hour together. Janie has really just opened up about her passions and her heart with flowers and everything else that's totally out of our control, but just learning to accept it and go with the flow. So, Janie, we've talked about where you came from. We talked about you moving up here, starting Pantry Posies a couple years ago. What's next? What are you trying to accomplish in your life? We didn't plan on this question. No, I was like, that is not on the list. Gosh, that should make me think. I think because I'm trying to live in the moments more. Yeah. That I'm not, if we're thinking about flowers, we do have to plan, right? Yeah. I already know what I'm growing next year. I already have events booked for 20, things like that. But as far as like long term, like if we're living in a way where we're not focusing on purpose, I think it's easier for me to live in the moment because it's not this big grand like what am I gonna accomplish? What impact am I gonna leave on this world? And that's I've thought deep about that since like grieving the loss of my dad and all this kind of stuff. Like, why are we even here? Dust to dust kind of thing. But I firmly believe that if we live our lives showing up, creating a world that people want to be in, that is it. Like that is enough for me to know. Like, so I guess future, trying to sustain that. Yeah. Which means all of those things I mentioned earlier of like the dialectics of stuff, celebrating the good, cultivating the joy, finding it when we can, and also acknowledging, like live through it type of stuff. I lived very fast in the past and I I moved through it, but I didn't like grow through it. You know, I wasn't like living. I was just kind of
trying to get through it.
Yeah. So I know that I don't want to keep doing that.
Yeah.
So for what's next is trying to just continue to build upon, recognizing, where my privileges are and how I can utilize those to just keep the world a good place as best I can. There's so many atrocities happening right now. I can't say that word. Atrocities.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, horrible. I can't even say the dang word. It's just so bad. There's just, if you think about it, I'm a Cancer too. So I'm like made of water. I'm surprised I haven't cried yet, but like I feel deeply like things, and like I could get drowned by all that, literally. Or I could think about like, how can I make my impact close, like right down the street, growing these sunflowers to bring to the food pantry. It's literally miles down my road.
Yeah.
Stopping at the farm on the way to pick up some gleaned stuff to bring to feed down the road. So I think my future is more focusing on that, how to just be in the now in your community, and maybe grow some cool stuff next year, some cool different varieties.
I like that.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
I like what you said about being a Cancer.
Yeah.
Because I am one too.
You are.
And I think I kind of tried to reject it for a while.
Mm-hmm. Why do we do that?
I don't know. I think I got caught up in trying to please other people.
Yeah. We get caught in the rapids. Just want to be in the lazy river, man. Just want to like live.
Yeah, it's true. But I like that you're embracing who you are, and you're, recognizing when something keeps showing up for you, and you're saying, okay.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard.
It is hard.
It's just like, I just want to resist. We're told that anyways, right? As women in 2025, resist everything. And you can. I mean, cultivating joy in these times is a huge act of resistance, because there's a lot of muck.
Yeah.
And that's how our ancestors survived hard things historically. If we want to go back to systems and analyzing things, historically, that's how ancestors survived hard times. Celebrating and cultivating joy, singing at night, writing poetry in fields.
Nice.
Having ceremonies, holding true to their values and morals, and creating care in their community. So,
yeah.
Let's keep that rolling.
Yeah.
Thanks, Indigenous ancestors, for showing us the way. And just like people do, we ignore it.
We forget.
Goodness.
Yeah. I think if we remembered what happened in history, that it would change the present. Maybe.
Who knows?
I don't know. So what is, let me think. I have asked this question of my guests before, and it always leads to interesting stories. What's one of the scariest moments that you've had up here in the North Country?
That's interesting, because I've had a few. I'm thinking, I'm like, oh gosh, now, and my stomach's like, oh, okay.
Oh.
Well, there have been close encounters with wildlife.
Yeah.
On the road, slick, icy. Back when I first moved here and was continuing old patterns and working in psych, I worked in an elementary school that was south of the Notch.
Okay.
And one thing that's different in the North Country than Boston is they never cancel school. So there could be like an ice blizzard. And you need like spikes to get to work, and they're like, you're getting there. Be there for those kids. You're the psych support. And I'm like, okay. And so there were times where driving through that Notch in a snow, ice blizzard, you go to work. By the time work's out, you got to dig your car out of 2.5 feet of snow and then drive your little tushy back to Easton.
Yeah.
And there were some scary spin outs. I've always been a Jeep driver, and I'm a baddie, and I'm from Boston. So, and I went to FBC, so we were in the woods. We were doing donuts. We were doing, so I'm okay. And I kind of like it a little bit.
You like the thrill?
Yeah. So, but there were some scary, like, oh God. Yeah. Yep.
Like close calls.
Jesus, take the wheel.
Yeah.
Mom, I love ya. Yeah. Those types of stuff. I would also say too, like my husband is a firefighter now.
Yeah.
And so, I've gotten a lot better about it, but he's not everything,
Yeah.
And so whenever he leaves, I get a little, even if it's just to go down the street to like a hardwired Airbnb thing. It's just like, okay, you know. So those moments can be a little scary sometimes.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I guess that would be.
Okay.
Yeah.
What would be one of your favorite moments that you've had here in the North Country?
A favorite moment. I would have to say it might not be a moment, but it's like when this happens, I love it.
Okay.
I love like going out and about. Depends on the day, of course. But if I'm out and about and I see like 3 people I know and it's like a, hey girl, even if it's like a wave, or I've seen you and Shaw, and they're like, Jenny! And I just wave and it's like, whoop! And I like drop my graham crackers and you know, and then I'm like, I saw Amanda. That's what I love. I do too. I love those moments. Yeah. I love, because then in my little card catalog of my brain, I'm like, okay, I know that person through this, through that, whatever. And then when you can connect people too, that's like one of my favorite things.
It really is.
And we've had ours with us.
Yes.
Had moments like that.
Yes.
Like I'll meet someone and I'm like, you got to meet Amanda, you know, or my neighbor, you know, meet people through my neighbor who got to meet this person. It's like, I love those moments.
Yes.
So those many moments are what I love.
I'm so glad you brought that up. Last week we had Alina Lane on, and she and I were talking about that very thing where you get excited that you actually recognize somebody.
Yeah.
And that they recognize you too. Yeah. And it's just like, you're not alone. Like it's a community.
It's a total reminder that the community is here. So, I mean, of course, if I'm mid-fertilizing and I'm like, oh shoot, I gotta go get like the coffee for the morning at the market, and I show up and I have like schmutz on my face and my like 3 days deep without a shower, and you're like, oh god, I just saw like everyone. And also the president was here. That was cool. You know what I mean? Like you see everybody that seems really important. Yeah. And the moments and you're like, oh god, don't look at me, and you're like, oh man, that's the mayor of the North Country right there. I don't know. Like, so it's always someone that you're like, oh gosh, she just, oh man, was my zipper up? I don't know. So that's the hard part is like, if you're in a funk and you're like, I just want to go get my trash bags, and you see, you know, Linda, Mike, John, and Jill, and they all have to tell you about the banana that got stolen in Franconia, and you're like, 2 hours later, like, I just came here for that one thing. So.
No, I hear you, because like sometimes I'm like, I need to go to the store, but I don't want to see anybody right now.
Or I gotta go to Crumb Bar. Hope Janie's not there and talks my ear off for an hour.
3 hours.
Gotta go.
Yeah, but you know, every time that I have ended up seeing someone, it doesn't matter anymore, because it's just so enjoyable to connect with people. Yeah. And it's like, they don't care. They don't care that you have mascara on or that you don't have it on. Right. Like, whatever. I ran into one of our mutual acquaintances. I met her coming out of the co-op with a box of ice cream bars that she had already dug into and was eating one. And she was hugging that box like it was her teddy bear.
Hey, you know?
And she didn't care. Yeah. And it actually was so inspiring to me. I was like, I want to be more like her.
Right? I think we all want to be more like her. Actually, we won't name her names, but we will get together at the end of our work days and we do some dirty work. Yeah. And we will both be covered in dirt and frizzly hair, and we still can hug it out. That's awesome. I love that. And that is right around the corner from me. You know what I mean? That's the community here. Yeah. I love it.
That's great.
It's delicious. It's good for the soul.
Yeah, it is. We're going to take another music break just to get some music in here. We're going to listen to one of your selections by Miss Lauryn Hill.
Woo!
We'll be right back, guys. Thanks for listening. All right, we're back. This is Amanda McKeen with North of Normal, and I have Janie Arquitt here with me. And Janie and I were just talking about some opportunities that she's got coming up that I didn't really know about, but sounded really cool. Some kind of like buddy system thing.
Yes, exactly that. We have what's called, it's new this year. We've launched it new. It's called the Be a Bud membership.
Be a Bud.
Be a Bud membership. And that means you can come to Pantry Posies for 4 weeks through August into September and build your own bud vase. Be a bud. And in turn, you'll be a buddy to us because you help us support out, and we'll be able to use some of the proceeds to go towards our fund for Bethlehem Community Dinner.
So I would get 4 different vases of flowers.
Yeah. And then come mid-September, you now own 4 cute little bud vases, and you can make a little tablescape for your next fall party. And you'll learn how to assemble a bud vase. So I'll teach you how to take some flowers and design something real cute. It's similar to like the posies that we would drop off at like the little free pantry in a little vase.
Yeah.
And it's just, folks are always asking to come to see Pantry Posies. They want to come, they want to cut flowers.
Yeah.
You know,
get their hands dirty.
Yeah, they want to be a part of it. And so we figured this was a way to kind of appease that demand of welcoming people to the space. But it's not a you pick. Like we're not gonna let people loose into the flower fields.
Oh.
It'll be kind of a curated bar, a flower bar, and so all the supplies will be right there when you show up. It's one exclusive hour for the buddies, so you'll meet other buddies who want to support our work and who love flowers and who want to build their own bud vase collection.
Wow,
you know, and a lot of the bud vases have come from Junk Lady. You know, another small business up here. She'll do clean outs and get some really cool pieces.
Nice.
And be like, hey, Janie, check this out. You know, so I have a collection of bits and bobs that I can't really use for events or, you know, if they're made out of, I don't know if they're real crystal or just heavy glass. I don't know. But maybe too heavy for an elderly, you know, distribution to, you know, might be too much for them to move around.
Okay.
So I have just odd things. And so folks can come and pick from that array of fresh cuts that morning, and helps me out too because we have cut and come again flowers, so some of the stems aren't always so long.
Yeah,
so I have to cut them, and then they'll be perfect for the bud vases.
Nice.
So yeah.
So is this like? Are you setting it up outside?
Well, it'll be weather pending. So it'll be like 4 weeks, and we do have a big garage space.
Nice.
So we put tables up in there, just in case, like heat, wind. You never know if a moose, you know, just keep people safe in there. And just like a quick talk, you know, you don't have to stay for the whole hour if you don't want to come and be social and you're really just there to get the goods. I totally get that. You know, we're encompassing of equity and access in all the ways. So you do you, boo. If you want to come with your bestie and both sign up and have that hour to gab, like I used to be a therapist, right? So talk what you want. I'll be over here doing my thing, you know.
Nice.
Put those, you know, and you get a little thing to take home, enjoy for the week, come back the next week, get a whole new one. And then, you know, when it's all wrapped up, you've got 4 little vases. And now you know how to create beautiful bud vases so you can host the next tablescaped party for your Friendsgiving or whatever.
Yeah.
Have a dinner party.
That sounds really fun.
Yeah.
And it's limited number of buddies?
Yeah, we're starting out this year. So I figured I think we have 12 or 18, and there's still a few spots left.
Okay.
Yeah, you can sign up right on the website.
On the website?
Yes.
You have a website?
We have a website.
Oh.
Dun dun.
That's amazing.
Yes, pantryposies.com. It's very difficult to remember.
That's good. Pantryposies.com. Thank you, Janie.
Yeah. You're welcome.
What else?
I don't really know.
Is Jay kind of involved in the flowers at all?
Mr. Posies.
Yeah, Mr. Posies.
Mr. Posies. So maybe a little bit more involved than he wants to be sometimes. He is the chief compost distribution specialist. Among other hats. He also is the helper of feeding fruit bushes and baby Christmas trees on our property. He himself has a little bit of a green thumb.
Does he?
All the houseplants are his. I've killed every houseplant we've had, but he has a whole shelf of them. He loves them. And he grows garlic. He loves that. That's his thing. Loves it. He just harvested it last week. The whole garage smells delightful, like an Italian restaurant. And he'll help me pick up the heavy things if I need them.
Yeah.
I am a very strong woman, though, so
I think you are.
It's not like I need him.
No.
You know.
Maybe it's more like
No, I do need him, though, because he's my emotional support, and I'd be nothing without you. Nothing. But yeah, he does help out, and there have been occasions where he's like done deliveries or helped me install weddings, and you know, if an opportunity comes up and I've double booked something, I'm always like, hey, silent business bud, biggest supporter of PP.
Yeah.
You know, do you want to be a freelancer that day, or would you rather not?
Nice.
You know, I don't force, you know, there's no forcing of it.
It's voluntary.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, when we first even lived in Waltham and I was doing friends' weddings and stuff, like our downstairs bathroom was just like full of flowers at all times. Like it's just like it comes with the territory of knowing me.
Yeah.
He's so supportive.
That's good. Well, Janie, I'm so glad that you stopped by today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it was really great. I think that you have said some profound things today, and I'm going to go back and listen and reflect. And hopefully our listeners realize the profoundness of some of the things you said too. Just really helpful as human beings to have those reminders that life is bigger than what you do. Mm-hmm. You know, it's about being and being in the moment.
Yep. Letting go of control.
Letting go of control.
Accepting.
Yeah.
We can't. Oh man, sounds like the Serenity Prayer.
No, but it's so good. I always appreciate reminders like that. So.
Yeah. And nature's there to remind us, that's for sure.
Yeah. So thank you for the work that you're doing. Thank you for being part of this community.
Thank you. I'm very grateful to be doing what I do where I am.
Yeah.
Every minute of every day. Some days more so than others.
Yeah. Well, I know you have a big following and a big support, because even just announcing yesterday on social media that you were going to be here, just this overwhelming likes and emojis and all of this stuff. So you are very special here, Janie, and we appreciate you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah. And so listeners, thank you for tuning in. We're going to have an hour of music coming up. Just a reminder, you are listening to WZNC LP Bethlehem, North Country Community Radio, 99.9 FM, and we are streaming online at nococommunityradio.org. Thanks again.